Okay.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
hello everybody. Welcome to the 5th episode. 50th है ना? Shit. एक second. 50th है ना? हाँ ठीक है. Okay, I'll restart. Sorry, I've forgotten.
Yeah. No problem. Never mind.
Okay. Uh, Welcome everybody again. Welcome to the 5th episode of Whose Question Is This? Today's guest of honor is somebody whom I met on the quizzing circuit first time in his home ground in Kolkata. I'm sure he doesn't remember it, but in hindsight, it was the only time I ever beat him because, as it turns out, it was a fluke. I remember it for a couple of reasons. Firstly, of course, me beating him, or as in our team beating his team. Second, I think this was one of the only times my parents had come to see a quiz, me participate in a quiz. And the third being when I couldn't remember an answer, I threw my pen in the air. It hit the fan and it went somewhere else. Right? So yeah, let's put our hands together for Samanway, the very well-known college quizzer. No longer college quizzer. Welcome on the show, Samanway.
Thank you so much, Avinav. Thank you, Prithvi. Thank you so much.
All right, we'll then just jump into the questions. Everyone ready?
Yeah. Okay.
All right, Samanway, could you take us through some of your early quizzing memories? Basically, how it all started for you.
See, my first quiz, if I remember correctly, was around 2005. It's in process in 2005, so which means I'm like 15 years into quizzing now. Okay, already I'm feeling a little old for that. I should recheck that back or something, whatever. So this happened in my own neighborhood. In Bengali, we call that para. So basically, after my school used to get over, so I used to go and play with my friends there. I used to play cricket there. And one fine day, I saw that in mid-April, so that is the time it coincides with the Bengali New Year. So around that time, so they were preparing for some cultural events in which lots of events were there. I saw some maybe musical chairs, singing, dancing, recitation, everything was there. And then somebody told me that there's also quiz. So I said, what is that? So they said that the quiz master will ask you a question and you have to answer. I said, okay, fair enough. It was extended parenting basically. So I said, all right, no problem. People will ask me question and I'll answer. Okay,
yeah,
fair enough.
I've gotten used to this. Yes.
Yeah, so cool. Then what I thought was, okay, I asked my mom that, they're asking me to participate in the quiz. Can I go? So she said, yeah, all right, go ahead. Now, my mom used to have this wonderful habit of, jotting down some sort of current affairs in her own diary. And she used to kind of write a particular quiz column that used to come up in a Bengali newspaper back then on Sunday, the Sunday supplement. She used to write them down on her in a copy. And I used to just turn them over sometimes. Not obviously, I didn't know what quiz was back then. But when I went to the quiz, I saw there were too many questions that came from that thing itself. Then I thought, so is this a syllabus kind of a thing? I was wondering. So it so happened it was an open quiz, and it so turned out, and it was back then. This was completely sort of what we call old style quizzing. Nothing, no infinite bounds, nothing else. I'm sure all of us have been through that time at one point in our life. So this was like direct and fast. And so when the quiz was over, we turned out to be a joint third or something, an open quiz. And my partner was also a school student. He was 3-4 years older to me. I think he was in class 8 or 9 back then. So it was so surprising. And I thought, okay, fine. So I got a medal. I think I still have that somewhere. I have to see. But I guess so. And then it so happened that I went to school. So there were so many school quizzes that used to happen, and I'm not properly from Calcutta. So in my locality, in my wherever my school was invited, sometimes I used to go and participate. Sometimes it so turned out that we were getting some podium finishes as well. So my school was extremely happy. Okay, so that's how it started, and it's just getting continued.
Right.
So yeah, we heard about your earliest quiz or earliest quizzes. But I think one of the reasons that there are a lot of quiz clubs in Bengal, independent quiz clubs, very similar to in structure to Kerala, say. I think that spawns from the fact that people are very inquisitive in nature and they have a knack for just trying to know few things, like your mother, as you said. Could you, so the independent quizzing structures, there are so many quiz clubs in smaller villages and cities we have seen in Bengal. So your take on this, and if you can possibly throw some light on that.
Yeah, of course. See, that is what I was saying, that I am not, as I said, I'm not properly from the city Calcutta. So I stay in the suburbs myself. So to attain the proper Calcutta quiz, I have to travel 2 hour, 4 hours journey. I have to go, and I do that quite regularly, but I try to do that quite regularly. So it so happens. Now, so there are multiple independent small quizzing fraternities inside Bengal, and that is throughout Bengal. It's not just it's in these small pockets around Calcutta. Calcutta is one. There is one seen in Asansol, Durgapur along that belt. Then you slightly go up in the north of Bengal. You find 2-3 quizzing groups, clubs, and they do an annual fest sort of thing. They invite people over from across the entire state. I believe it's a wonderful thing. So and all these questions, and what I'm saying is the content is also a bit different from what we usually face. First of all, I have throughout at least till my class 12, I was only facing questions which are in the vernacular, because here, so what it so happens that all these quizzes used to take place in a neighborhood sort of thing. There was no such concept of PPT back then, so the quiz master used to show the questions in Bengali. There were too much audience as well. And so what I'm trying to say is that, so I starting till class 12, my 11, 12, my class 2 happened in a city called Chandannagar. So as you know, it's a French colony.
Right.
My school was very near. My school was very near to the Chandannagar Strand, so which is essentially like the promenade in Pondicherry. So it's very wonderful. So even we used to go to these quizzes when our school was also invited sometimes there. So this is how the and till class 12, I was only aware of this particular world. There remains such a vast world just outside my purview. I was not at all aware of. So the first Calcutta quiz, in school I went to TTI's Carnival and all that, but the first proper Calcutta school quiz that I have been to was in class 11 only. And in class 12, we also we were the Bengal champion, the Kolkata city champion for tax your brain. That was an income tax quiz. Income tax did that quiz for 150 years of the department. It was wonderful experience. That was the first time I used to go to Delhi as well. So and Calcutta quizzing circuit is very vibrant. As in the school quizzing circuit in particular, it was very strong and it's very vibrant. And too many good quizzers have come up from the Calcutta school circuit itself, and they have done wonderful quizzing outside Bengal. It has happened, but their base has been in Calcutta. Now, so what happened was, say what I'm trying to now. Then I figured out. I went. My mom also allowed in my college days to go to these independent pockets that I'm talking of. Now I go to host quizzes sometimes as well. But to quiz properly, I went to these places. There's a place called Joynagar in South 24 Parganas. So the first time I went there, I saw there were 400 people watching the quiz. I was like, my goodness, people come and watch quizzes. Like, what sort of derangement is this that people come and see quizzes? I was like, so I was totally surprised. And they used to have, and it's in the smaller pocket. One of those organizers, they really tried to bring the scenario back then. He invited all his neighborhood, everyone to come and join that. My goodness, they're standing there for 2-3 hours. And they watched the quiz, and whenever we won, they came and congratulated us. I mean, what is happening? So similarly, things happen in Midnapur. So in Midnapur as well, they've turned quizzing into a show, and we hardcore quizzers can never imagine what exactly is a quiz show that has come in those pockets in different parts of Bengal. As you said, in Kerala as well, I've heard from my friends in Kerala that it's quite similar to that, because we have a general, and your the reasoning is absolutely correct, that we have a general curiosity. I believe even if you just stroll around in Bengal or in Kerala somewhere, you would figure out people just normally conversing in chai pe charcha, doing their own sort of chai pe charcha. So that is how things are. They are normally so curious about everything. They all have their own views, visions, everything. All are very kind of mostly well read. They mostly get the newspapers right and all. So I believe it's wonderful to be a part of. We have seen so many quizzing, to see so many variations in quizzing. in my own eyes.
So Samanway, Calcutta quizzing fraternity in
Yeah.
itself is very unique from, let's say, the other clubs in the country. And also, you guys conduct the KQF, which is the Kolkata Quizzing Festival, which easily has the most number of quizzes in the country amongst the festivals.
Correct.
So could you take us through the origins of that festival and how did you become a part of it?
See, when KQF first came up, I wasn't really into the Calcutta scenario that much because I was still in class 10. I was probably, yeah, I was still in class 9, 10 around that time. The first KQF that I attended, I think this was the second edition, which happened at Calcutta Boys School. It still used to happen around those areas and didn't get a permanent venue as Calcutta Rowing Club nowadays
Yeah, beautiful.
provided.
I think one of my favorite quizzing venues is the Calcutta Rowing Club.
Yes,
For
yes. So
sure.
I think this is kind of universal, and the atmosphere itself. So even if you do not know anything about cuisine, you go there, you hang around, you just maybe
Enjoy.
answer
Yeah.
questions. Yeah, enjoy your food and booze, and you can be very happy, right?
Yeah,
So
during the sunset, the breeze blows and it's so serene. Yeah.
So what happened was I joined KQF. I went to KQF. I saw an advertisement for Kolkata Quiz Festival I think it was in Telegraph back in class 11. I told my friend, okay, let's go and participate. What would happen? So that was the first KQF. The first KQF was excellent. My experience was it was in Calcutta Boys School still, but my experience was very nice. So after that in 2014 when I was in class 12, I couldn't really attend because of my board exams, as you know. My parents won't allow you anyway. So what happened is in 2015 I went there again. This was in Calcutta Rowing Club, I remember, and that is when it was my first year in college. I was normally as a college student. I went there, saw many people and saw some outstation teams coming as well, all famous names in their own right. So and then I suddenly got a call from one of the organizers there, and he rang me up one day and said that why don't you join our organizing committee, or we have certain content making stuff as well, we can help, which you can help, you can come on board and help us out. Said, all right, fine. So this is how my association with KQF began on a very personal scale, and now of course the organizers themselves are quite like friends of mine sort of things. I've been so well known. I've known them for around 6-7 years now. So in 2016, they told me to host a college quiz, which I think Avinav attended, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly. Correct? Yes. So
Yeah.
I co-hosted a college quiz in 2016, and since then, till 2020, it was my 5th consecutive outing as the quizmaster in this fest. And I believe when I started as a quizmaster in KQF, I am still possibly the youngest QM there. So and the best part about KQF, as in my hosting bit, is that they always try and give me new topics to host quizzes. Maybe not that. Sometimes it's niche, sometimes it's popular. But the fact that they try and give me things to experiment on, so this always feels excellent. And the idea is, as I was telling just a few minutes back, that you can go at Calcutta Rowing Club, you can enjoy the ambience. It's a festival in the truest sense of the term. In other quiz fests, wherever they say that the other quiz organizers, whenever they promote a fest, it's a quiz fest where it's an assortment of quizzes. But there's a bit of a difference between a collection of quizzes and a quiz fest. So I think KQF is kind of unique in terms of giving an entire experience of quizzing. So even if you do not qualify, or even if you cannot answer anything, you can just hang around with your friends and have some food and share some drinks, and you can still be fine. You won't miss out on anything. So it's that rich an ambience. So it has been wonderful till now.
All right.
So you have a CV. We've been talking about quizzing, but you have a CV outside of quizzing also, right? So you have worked with FIFA for the Under-17 World Cup, which happened a few years back, and even the Durand Cup last year, I think. Yeah. So I think so. From what we have understood, that these are also have been facilitated through your quizzing connections that you have made. Could you talk us through how the Under-17 World Cup, at least, if not the Durand Cup, happened?
Yeah. So see, whatever till now, I'm not yet 24. I'll be 24 in July. So whatever jobs, parts, or whatever content-based jobs or whatever jobs for which I've got payment in my life, 99% of them has been through quizzing. Okay. So if quizzing was not there, I would probably, I don't know, I would roam around without wearing anything. That is something that will probably happen. All right. So what happened was, I remember in 2017, so FIFA, when it was in, like they said that the Under 20 World Cup will happen in India, they were calling volunteers. Okay. And I missed the deadline for applying for a volunteer. So it so happened, and the problem was, so the volunteer window was open for a couple of hours or so much, and there were too many applicants. Then I thought, ये तो होने वाला है ही नहीं, तो छोड़ ही देते, ठीक है? So sorry, so I was not even. I said it's fine, no problem. I probably missed that. I missed the boat. No problem. I'll go and watch as a spectator. So, but then I kind of texted Aniket Mishra, he was the LOC media manager for the Under 17 World Cup. I remember I first met him in a quiz at IIT Kanpur. He hosted a.
Yeah, people who don't know who Aniket Mishra is, he is the founder of, as in the quizzing circle at least, the founder of Barefoot Quizzing Festival, which is the foremost sports quiz festival in India, basically.
Correct. I was actually coming to Barefoot as well. But so I met him in a sports quiz in IIT Kanpur. He was hosting that particular quiz, and this is how we were participants in. I think it was in my first year itself. So, and then in 2017, I texted him that, is the volunteer window still open? I can, I am trying to, if it's possible, I can be a volunteer there. So Aniket said that, why volunteer when you can work? And then he called me up. And then he asked me sort of things about my ideas and all. He said that, in the media team, these are things, maybe, can you do these things and all? I said, okay, fine. Then he said, why don't you come over and meet me at Salt Lake Stadium? Salt Lake Stadium was the LOC office in Calcutta. So I met Joy Bhattacharya was the project director at FIFA Under 17 World Cup. I met Joy in his home only. So he said, yeah, Aniket was telling me that, you do a job. I have no clue how sports management happens. I have no clue about organization. The best thing I can do is watch football. So at match. So then he said, no, you should have come over here. And in hindsight, I believe now since we are talking about that, the reason why Under 17 World Cup was so much successful in India was that because the higher levels or the higher echelons of the administration, they had blind faith on the junior people as well, right? So they were such wonderful leaders to have worked with, right? So they kind of made the base of the people who were like me, who kind of joined the Under 17 World Cup as a person, as I have no idea about how sports happen of such a large scale in India, right? So that is, I believe, one of the major reasons why the World Cup was so successful. And I happened to be one of the youngest people who actually got paid for working in the Under 17 World Cup. Even the volunteers most of the volunteers that worked under me were elder to me. So that was such an electric experience. It's wonderful. That is how the Under 17 World Cup came about. And then a couple of years later, last year in 2019, so they were talking about the fact that Durand Cup is the oldest football tournament in the country, and it's also older than the English FA and all. As in, also the Football World Cup as well. This is one of the, I think, the third oldest in the world. It's continuously happening since 1888 or 1889. So this was the 129th edition that they thought that they will do it in Calcutta. So again, Aniket, I think, mentioned somewhere that they were looking for a media manager. Then I said, can I join? Do you think I'll be able to do that? So yeah. Why don't you go and give an interview of some sort? So I went there in the office. I then went to Fort William. They kind of asked me about things and all. And then I was there in the Durand Cup as well as a central media manager. So again, working with the armed forces and to understand their way of life, and the fact that it's a football tournament, it's such important for them, and it was wonderful. Once again, my experience has been absolutely brilliant. And the best part about this is that you kind of learn along the process as well. You are also learning along the process. And at the end of the day, you get money for that. So what best can these be? So I always say that to watch football, we are watching football live, and at the end of the day, your salary is getting credited. So what better can this be for somebody? Just I don't know. Okay, it was wonderful.
Okay, so Samanway, even as you said, you're about to turn 24, right? And for a young quizzer, you are also seen as in you are of course one of the best college quizzers, as in were one of the best college quizzers. To me, you are still a college quizzer. Uh, so, so you are seen as a figurehead of sorts, at least in the eastern part of the quizzing fraternity. So, so do you see it as an additional responsibility, or is it like part of the job, if you may?
See, when I kind see everything related to my quizzing has been extremely organic. I have never thought I would go there. I would do these things. I have never even thought of I till now I do not even think of a podium finish. It's very true. So it has everything has been extremely organic in my quizzing journey or so far. Okay, so I have never intended in my life to be a quizmaster. Neither did I intend to work in the Under 17 World Cup, nor did I intend to work in the Durand Cup. So in my life, I've never even submitted a CV for a job. So it is what I call a Saul Goodman syndrome. I know a guy who knows a guy. All right. So the yeah, so it so happened along these lines that and when you kind of do your work, I believe when you are doing your work, few people will of course know you, get to know you, right? And even young quizzers, see, I have been a college quizzer as well. So when being a figurehead of these sorts, I don't think it's much of a pressure that way. But the fact that it's so organic, I believe it comes as a part of quizzing or maybe a part of the activity itself. I treat it that way. But at the same time, I feel a little uncomfortable when these kind of things come up because I am also one of the most ordinary of ordinary folks out there. And there are way too many, way better quizzers of my age and people who are, quizzing now, were into college quizzing now. They have been doing extremely good than what I did at that age in college circuit. And I can, even in Calcutta, not only outside Calcutta, even in Calcutta. So I feel extremely proud. I cannot be more proud to see them excelling in their work so much. And whenever they ask me something or whenever they feel they want to reach out to me, they always know that my DMs are always open for this. And I try to say that, but for everyone, the journey will always be different. And for no, but see, everybody will have their different journey, even if they are belonging from a same geographical area, right? So it's a path that way. It's an added responsibility in a way. Now I am into this hobby. I have sort of tried to monetize this hobby, as a result of which I am into professionally involved in quizzing as well. So that in that way, it's a responsibility because you really don't want you really do not want your product to go bad, right? So
Yes.
that is in a way I believe a responsibility.
Right. So, Samanway, you've been associated with Hammer and Tongs, which is one of the oldest and easily one of the best teams out there. So, could you tell us how did you become a part of Hammer and Tongs? Also, there's a considerable age gap between you and other members. So, how does
Correct.
that come into when you are teaming together and like answering questions?
See, the best thing about Hammer and Tongs is something you have summarized in your question itself. That the fact that they are one of the oldest as well as one of the best teams in the country. This is only possible with the fact that they are oldest. That means they have started quizzing when the current format of quizzing was nowhere there, right? So they were best at that point of time as well. And
Right.
when the format has there has been an evolution in the format, just as evolution happens in each and every activity world over. So they have tried to adapt themselves to that change, which is why they remain one of the best even today, right? So this is why I believe it has been extremely easy for me to be a part of that contingent, that particular group, right? So it, Hammer and Tongs is basically, if you do not, for people who do not know, let me tell you, Hammer and Tongs comprise of Shobhi Guho, Jayashree Mohanka, Anil Bhaswani, and Kingshuk Vishwas. So majorly, these four people teamed up around 2009-10. They started, I think, on a serious basis, teaming up, four of them, and going to Quiz Fest as well. They started around 2009-10. I joined them in around 2015-16. I remember there was one quiz at Calcutta Medical College. I was one of the quiz masters there as well. After my quiz, there was a general quiz, and the team was trying to split and sit. So since it's a 3-member team, they were trying to split and sit, and they asked me that King Shubda asked me that why don't you join Shovik? I said fine, okay. So I was like all right, and then it turned out to be a gradual thing as well. And then I remember I was asked to accompany them to ASCAN, which is in Bangalore. I think it was in 2017. And every year they ask me. Now the problem is I cannot go to ASCANs anymore for the last 2 years because it invariably clashes with a corporate quiz that I host in Calcutta only. At the same exact day, I have tried to change it so many times, and this doesn't happen. Okay. So I have to say no to Shovik and Jashi. They said, no, it's not possible. Maybe this year also I probably won't be able to go. But the fact that, even in Calcutta, we have sat together in too many quizzes. And coming to this age gap, I have never for a moment felt that, they are not my friends, right? I can, to a certain extent, I can be respectfully disagreeing with them. I may not agree with their answers. They may not agree with my answers. They might tell me, okay, this is not the answer. They might kind of, as a team, might work on a different basis. Even after that, not for a single nanosecond, I felt that, these are not my people. And one of the major reasons why is because they are at heart some really wonderful guys in the quizzing circuit. It's amazing to sit with them. And the best part, even Shovik, Jashi, Anil, as I said, they're some of the finest people in the circuit. Even King Shubda, we pull each other's legs a lot. And he's such a sport, he will give, even after you're pulling his leg, he will probably come and have a drink with you, come and have dinner with you, no problem around that. So now in 2020, as I talk about this, they have kind of become an extended family to me. So I do not dissociate myself from there, and someday I was telling Shovik a few days back, what will happen that if the day Shovik doesn't turn up in quizzes, what will happen that day? The fact that they will also feel that, they are getting old, they will probably not be able to do that. What will the quizzing fraternity do is a question, and the amount of enthusiasm and the amount of thirst for knowledge, even at that age they're having, this is something, we youngsters can only look and learn, nothing else.
Right. So now that we have a fair idea of your quizzing journey, could you take us through some of the best moments that you've had over the years?
Okay, so I'll try and narrow it down to 2 moments. One is extremely personal favorite. See, this was in KQF 2018, if I remember correctly. This was in the pool. I think people who have been to KQF would know that there are 2 venues. One is inside the swimming pool, and one is outside, at the back. So inside in 2018, it happened inside the pool. So after a quiz was finished, after I think I did a quiz there, and when I was just coming out of the pool to join some of my friends back in the for lunch or something. So there were 2 young folks, all right. So their age would be around 9 or 10, hardly, very young kids. They came up to me, and one of them said that, can I click a photograph with you? I was awestruck, I was like, really, okay, fine. So, and now this is not the best thing about that. The thing is, so their parents gave a dumb phone, not a smartphone. They're all not with excellent camera features, because even parents were also thinking that the kids might lose the phone. So they've given a dumb phone. And one guy, he asked his friend to click that photograph, he and me. Okay. So, and then his friend was not good in clicking the photograph, and he verbally thrashed him, hey, you can't even click a photograph. And the fact that, we had such a considerable difference in height, we were not even coming in the same frame for quite some time. And that was irritating that guy, the fact that he asked me to have a photograph with him, and then he cannot manage that. It was such a wonderful feeling, and no matter whatever I do in my life, no matter whatever happens, I'll still remember that specific moment throughout my life. This is the first one. The second moment is, it has quizzing involved, but it's not primarily quizzing. I went to North Bengal. As I was speaking, that there are multiple centers of quizzing in West Bengal. So in the North Bengal circuit has of late been very vibrant. That they have they have been doing extremely well, and the enthusiasm there is unparalleled. And their hospitality is wonderful. So I went there, and uh, before the quiz, I was just going up to the uh, uh, kind of the dais. I was just going up to the dais, and I was keeping my bag there. So some person, it was, I think he might be a college student. He came up to me and he said, I'm a huge admirer of your writing. I said, okay. I mean, where I said, no, whatever small write-ups you write on Facebook and all, I have read that, I really like that. I really admire it a lot. So I had never thought about this before, that somebody reads my Facebook articles. I said, okay. So that too is very close to my heart, that I love writing myself, which essentially sees as an extension of my quizzing caliber, right? So somebody would come and, speak good about my writing. It was a wonderful feeling. I felt so humbled, that people actually read and not only just leave a like on Facebook and move along, people actually read that article. It was wonderful.
I think what's interesting is for that kid, probably meeting you was the Amitabh Bachchan moment. So life takes a full circle.
Okay, now you're putting your leg, but I'll okay. Fair enough.
So you are also associated with K. Hobe Kotipati, Banglar Kotipati, which is, I think, the Bengali version of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. So, firstly, tell us about your experience there, and could you also talk about how creating content for a TV show quiz is different from an on-ground quiz?
Yeah, so I think that's a really well said question, if I may say that. K Hobe Banglar Kotipati, as many people would know, is a regional version of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. So when Kaun Banega Crorepati happened in India, it was such a mighty rage across the nation back in early 2000s. Now many regional versions have also spawned with regional superstars of being the host of the particular show. For this edition, when I think this was in 2018, when I joined that team, so they were trying to have K Hobe Bangla Kotipati revived. It happened first in 2011. Then they were trying to revive it for Bengali audience yet again. And Proshenjit Chatterjee was our host for that particular edition. And so again, I was appointed as a senior researcher there. And so the thing is that on-ground quizzing is extremely different from what TV content are shown. Okay, it's in different league altogether. Okay, and there are quite a few reasons behind that. I'll come to that. But if you ask me for a personal perspective, I see quizzing I think content creation as a product, right? So the fact that content creation, I look at it as a product, and quizzing is a sub branch of this on-ground quizzing I'm talking of. So, and just like any product, you have to be very much aware of what consumer behavior is, right? So for K Hobe Bangla Kotipati, the responsibility was much higher, because not only the contestant is facing your question, but also some millions of people across the state are seeing that. And I was told later that this was a huge hit, more on the channel, more than the channel, it was a huge hit on the app. Woot is their app. It was a huge hit back in the younger bunch of people. It was a huge hit. So I personally was very happy to hear that. But making content, because there are too many constraints. See, if I am doing an on-ground quiz, that is an extension of what content I personally consume. That is reading books, articles, magazines, and I'm sure every quizmaster probably does that. Reading books, articles, magazines, whatever music I go to listen, whatever movies I watch, all these find a synthesis in the on-ground quizzes I host, right? But while I'm doing a TV program, I have to figure out that my audience reach is a bit different than the others. And I'm not here to share my own knowledge or what I know. I'm not here to frame questions in a way so that people will appreciate what's their question. So people will appreciate the fact there that, okay, it's a wonderful fact to learn. And there you have to frame questions within, say, 120 characters or 140 characters at max, right? So and you have to be very compact when you are doing these kind of shows. Not only that, after since we are talking about TV shows, after Bangla Koti Koti, I worked in a Star Math show as well. It's in Dubai. It's the largest quizzing event, school quizzing event for school children in the United Arab Emirates. And
Yeah,
right,
I think I've
so
seen this also.
yes. So I think I've shared a link of YouTube link. So this is like the preliminary has some 1500 odd students coming in, and we have to do the parents, and then we go around with 9-10 episodes of that. Okay, so that also, see, when I'm doing a content for regional TV show, that is leagues apart from what I have to do for a school in Dubai, right? So that way, I try to imbibe that approach to quizzing, that I am doing the question for a specific group of people, and for such an audience, even if they do not know anything about quizzing, they see the questions and become, okay, it's a very interesting fact to know about, right? So quizzing, I have been a product for in my life. I treat it personally as that way, and that is why in the end of every quiz I do, everywhere I ask people for bouquets and brickbats. Anything, any customer review is always welcome, right? Because this is how I learn myself. It's a learning process for me as well.